Hello and welcome to From Dublin to Cleveland. I am Logan Howard, and I am joined by the one and only Brendan Thomas Merritt. How are you today? How's it going?
I'm great, always great. I've got 6 more working days before I leave one job and step into a bold, brand new adventure. Yeah, happy out. Can't complain. How are things in the US of A?
Things are going pretty well. Today was day 100 of school. I have about 65 more days or so left
Amazing.
of school. So he only has, what would you say, 6 days of working. I have 65 days of working. So he's winning. But I also have 65 days, and who knows what comes after that. So be in prayer for both of us as where God's leading and what God's doing in our lives. But today has been, this past week here in Ohio has been very warm. We have been above freezing, and I would say maybe even like 10 degrees Celsius. So it's been not too bad. It's not zero. It's not, below zero. It's been beautiful. So, um, hopefully you, wherever you're at in, whether you're in America or you're across the globe, that you're also enjoying your day, no matter what the weather is outside. But
10
today,
weeks of rain,
yeah,
almost unbroken.
yeah, yeah, we had a whole run of snow, so I get it. It
Wish we
only just
knew.
got broken last week for us, so yeah. But we are here today, and we're going to be talking about. This is technically part two that we didn't get to last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks now. I can't remember. But our last episode, if you saw that, I do recommend you go and watch it. Basically, we've been talking about the destruction of heroes. Why are heroes so, I guess, missing in our culture? I think even when we watch movies, heroes are there, but it's more anti-hero. It's more kind of a blah. It's not really defined as somebody, and there's not really heroic qualities. And so I do recommend going back and watching some of that. I know it's 2 hours. Just take a little bit of time to watch it, chop it up. That would be okay. Don't freak out. It was 2 hours. We're gonna try to do better this time. That it won't be 2 hours long. I can't fully promise that this one won't be 2 hours long, but we're gonna try to do better to be more respectful of your time. So thank you for those of you who have sat down and watched all of our episodes. We really appreciate you guys. But hopefully you'll join us as we continue into the story of actors. So I'm going to turn it over to Brendan. Brendan has done quite an extensive job of finding clips and videos and articles and compiled these all together to show us the behind the scenes of these people who are actors, people who maybe even you look up to or have respected in the past, and kind of what's going on behind the scenes. And maybe one of the reasons why some of our heroes are falling apart is because the real people who play them are not very heroic.
I would agree with that. The people who play them and write them and direct those movies and TV shows are the villains that history always warned us about. And evil cannot create anything, it merely counterfeits what is good. So here is a classic and infamous example. Rachel Zegler. She was cast as Snow White in the live adaptation that came out last year. Well, I say live adaptation, most of it was CGI. She was live, most of it was CGI. And this is the interview that absolutely destroyed her career. For quite a while, no one had seen it. Then suddenly it came out of the blue. People just came across it. The internet never forgets. And when people saw the absolute hatred and disgust that she had for the original IP, they were none too impressed with her.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird, weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
I know that you've told me before.
Okay, so for context, in the original Snow White movie, Snow White is a princess. She is living under an absolutely tyrannical stepmother. You actually see a corpse in the stepmother's chamber, and there's like a jug of water just out of reach from this pile of skeletons. And some people actually think that might have been Snow White's father, that maybe the queen actually locked him up and denied him even a drop of water and just, let him die. And she's reduced Snow White to nothing more than a slave girl in her own castle. So she goes to a wishing well and she's like, I wish for true love. And then voila, her wish is granted and the prince appears and seeks her out and eventually finds her after she's dead. Um, what she just said there is a total utter mischaracterization that she's just being absolutely stalked and hounded by this man. And one of the reasons why modern movies suck and modern heroes suck and the whole thing is falling apart is because of fourth wave feminism. Feminism. I can't pronounce the word. I hate the word, but I can't pronounce it. Feminism. There is an absolute intrinsic detestation of male, female, healthy romantic relationships. Oh no, the man has to be toxic. It's so terrible. The woman needs agency. All this crap. All these tropes that no successful story had ever had before. And yeah, they hate love. They hate men. They hate the idea of heroic men. They hate the idea of a woman in a position where she might actually need assistance because God forbid anyone should ever need help in life. Hello. So they totally bastardized the character Prince and almost cut him out entirely. There was another interview where she actually said all of his scenes could be cut because this is Hollywood, baby. Oh, then what are your thoughts on that? The war on love and the war on men.
Yeah, and I think it's even just a war. Feminism isn't really empowering women. It's actually hurting women,
Yes.
because it makes women just like men, and it doesn't give them make them special. It doesn't make them different. It doesn't, and I think that's why some of them get so frustrated and angry, is because women are different. They are made to be beautiful. They're made to be um, uh, they're made to serve, they're made to love, just like men are. It's just different ways. And so I think when women or men try to make it that they have to do everything or be something they're not, that's when you run into a lot of issues, run into a lot of frustration. And so she's encouraging this idea of, women can be strong and powerful. And truthfully, can they be? Yes, they can be. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying they can't. I think it's when you try to force something that you weren't made to be. Women were made to be caregivers, to love their children, to love their husbands, um, and the husbands were meant to go and work out in the fields and do all those kinds of things. And so to try and make it so that and there is, I know, some sense that yeah, sometimes men are stupid and that happens, but at the same time, I think we get so caught up in this, we have to all be like men, or also we hate men. We have to we have to get to the point where really we need to respect everybody's roles. And I'm not trying to say that I know exactly what you're good at or what women are good at it completely, or what you specifically as a person are good at. But we each have stuff that we're good at, and we need to rely on others to help us with other stuff. And I think this feminism society and just our society in general makes it so you don't need anyone else. Just do it on your own. Just go solo. And whether you're a man or a woman, that's not what it's about. It's about realizing you need other people, and all the joy and, yes, sorrow and frustration does come with living in community and doing things with other people. But it is so much more joy than living miserably by yourself trying to solve
Mm-hmm.
everything. So
Very true. Very true.
yeah,
The blessing is also in the unity when
it
iron
is
clashes against iron and we grow together.
indeed.
Lovely. But there are some people who do not want us to grow together, such as most of the main stars in the MCU in the Avengers. Hence why they made this absolutely cringeworthy, disgusting video telling people to vote for Kamala Harris, which means open borders, which means abortion, which means people attacking ICE agents and police, which means Black Lives Matter burning your villages to the ground and your cities and your towns to the ground and getting off scot-free, which means murder, which means socialism, which means high prices for everything. So let's look at these non-heroic idiots pretending to be superheroes, and worse than that, pretending to be funny.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Avengers.
Hey, Scarlett.
Jumping on the call.
Whoa. I think you mean assembling. I said assembling. Don, that's pretty good. No, they thought it was funny.
Scarlett, it is our pleasure to come together and to get the vote out this election. Come on.
Yeah, how can we be of service?
How about we start with what our voting plans are going to be, who we're going to bring to the polls with us, that sort of thing.
I think Kamala Harris needs a catchphrase.
Ooh, yes, definitely a catchphrase.
How about this? I'm just off the top of my head. I can do this all day. Shut up. I hate it. Okay.
I mean, it's original, but
What about something punchier like, ooh, boom. You looking for this? Iron Man 2, everybody loved it.
okay, again, I think we're just trying to get out the vote.
Kamala forever.
That's better.
Okay, how about I'm down with democracy? It's just clean, it's simple.
Okay, I like that.
It's hard to argue with that.
Kamala Harris down with democracy.
Oh, yeah. I'm Kamala Harris, and I say down with democracy.
I don't know if that sounds the way we want it to sound, though.
I think we just need, can we get some production though?
Jarvis?
My name's not Jarvis, but whatever.
Oh yeah, that's right. Down with democracy.
Down with democracy.
Is that what we mean, though?
Yeah, together we're gonna tear down democracy.
Will you stop playing heroic music under yourselves?
I'm Kamala Harris, and I am down with democracy. Did I sound enough like her on that one?
That was great. How many Golden Globes have you been nominated for? I'm just curious.
Yes! All right, that was awesome.
That was not awesome. That was painful to watch. Maybe I'm missing out on something because I'm not an American. Is that actually funny in America?
I think the kids call that cringe. I think is
That
the
might be good too.
term that we would call it. At least I think that's what they're using these days. Yeah, I think those people were paid to say that, first of all. That was not
No
that was
excuse,
not a
probably.
yeah, it's not an excuse, but as we can see, I'm glad that it didn't turn out that way. It was kind of funny that I had this quote that was from John Wayne that said that he was a liberal until when he was in college, until he left college and realized that he needed to be wise. So these people apparently have not learned how to be wise.
Yeah.
He said he read about what he learned in Russia and was like, "Oh, yeah, I should not be a socialist. That's bad." Yeah. So it's just this culture that thinks that this is the way to influence people, is just, well, your cool superheroes are telling you to vote for this person. They do the same thing in sports where they tell them, "Oh, you should go out and go vote," and all this stuff. And really what they're insinuating is you need to go vote for my person that I support. And it's taking these characters who we appreciate and maybe even like and love on the big screen and trying to get them to vote. So it's a cheap plug. I think there was a time in my life where I may have been influenced by watching seeing somebody like say stuff and go, "Oh yeah, I should vote that way, or I should do that, or I should buy that," right? Because so and so. But I think so often now when you have people like Shaquille O'Neal who does commercials for like the General and like a tall basketball player, but he doesn't have the general. We all know he doesn't have the general. So yeah, it's ridiculous. So everybody apparently is coming to check on me at my house to make sure I'm alive, I guess. I don't know.
Probably just sitting there with the lights off.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Like, is he okay?
No. No, I'm good. I'm good.
I heard you watching, like, a Democrat messaging political ad, and they were like, does he need help? Has the devil gotten into him?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I just think that entire video is really, really cringy. And then Robert Downey Jr., who is too skilled to be up to this crack, laughing and pretending he's having a good time and finds his colleagues funny. Chris Evans, well, I think we know why he votes for those people, because I'm pretty sure his personal life is has a little bit more testosterone than estrogen in it. And as for the guy who played the Hulk, he just makes me very, very uncomfortable. Mark Ruffalo. There's something about him that's, I wouldn't let him pat me on the shoulder. I don't know where his hands have been. There's something very, very icky and disturbing about that guy. Very, very wrong. Yeah. All right. Speaking of people who have put their foot in it and done things wrong, let's talk about the most infamous of all the Avengers, Brie Larson, Carol Danvers, Captain America, and the interview that absolutely destroyed her career. After this interview, plus Captain Marvel was a bad movie anyway, objectively, and then they shaved her head in Endgame and gave her a really, really ugly haircut, and then she's never really been seen again or heard of since. And this is when she decides to go on a big rant about how hard it is being a multi-millionaire female celebrity, and then she tries to make the whole thing a big race bait as well. Little did she know that her entire career was about to implode.
Question. What does it mean to be a woman in film?
It means it's really hard. And if you're a woman of color, then it's really, really hard. So earlier this week, USC Annenberg's Inclusive Initiative released findings that 67% of the top critics reviewing the 100 highest grossing movies in 2017 were white males. Less than a quarter were white women, and less than 10% were unrepresented men. Only 2.5% of those top critics were women of color. So you're probably thinking right now, like, wow, that super doesn't represent the country that I live in, and that's because that's true. This is a huge disconnect from the US population breakdown of 30% white men, 30% white women, 20% men of color, and 20% women of color. On top of all of this, am I saying that I hate white dudes? No, I'm not. But what I am saying is that if you make a movie that is a love letter to women of color, there is an insanely low chance a woman of color will have the chance to see your movie and review your movie. Other people besides white dudes like Star Wars and would love the opportunity to do a set visit. And I'm also saying I don't hate white dudes. I'm just saying we need to be conscious of our bias and do our part to make sure that everyone is in the room. Good reviews out of festivals give small independent films a fighting chance to be bought and seen. Good reviews help films gross money. Good reviews slingshot films into awards contenders. A good review can change your life. It changed mine. We are expanding to make films that better reflect the people that buy movie tickets, but they are not allowed enough chances to read public discourse on these films by the people that these films were made for. I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. I want to know what that film meant to women of color, to biracial women, to teen women of color, to teens that are biracial. And for the third time, I don't hate white dudes.
She kind of sounds like she hates white dudes.
Yeah. If you have to say it so many times, I think that means you do. And when she was talking about that, oh, these people of color couldn't see the movie because the white guys were like reviewing it or something. That is a load of garbage because if you want to watch a movie, it is America. You can go watch the movie that you want to watch. You don't have to be a person of color. It's not a race thing. It's just you can just go watch it. I mean, yeah, it was ridiculous. It's pretty much when you have to say 3 times that you don't hate white people, you do hate white people. And I guess the other disconcerting thing is I'm going to use Star Wars against her here. Uh, this is how democracy dies by thunderous applause.
Yeah, good example, good quote. So, Logan, obviously, you come from the single most racist country in the world. Are you actually saying that there are not men who are white, of course, with sticks beating biracial teenagers out of the cinema and refusing to let them watch the movie and striking down women of color when they want to go to the cinema to review it? Are you actually saying that people are allowed to buy a ticket and just watch a movie like in a normal civilized society? Can't make
Yes.
sense, though.
Yes, it is not like it's not like other places
Probably
around the
back.
globe where there may be certain movies banned or
Mm.
there may be you may have to prove that you're straight by going into the movie theater. That might happen somewhere around the globe. Just saying. I'm pretty sure it's a free country and you're allowed to watch whatever movie you'd like.
My goodness. I think you and Bree need to have a sit down. This woman needs to be told, this woman needs to be stopped. Now, I will say this to her credit. After all the PR backlash she sustained after that speech and Captain Marvel and the very short role she had in Endgame, she does seem to have, if not changed her ways, at least learned to shut the hell up. There was one time when she was in an interview at a panel, was it the Cannes Film Festival, maybe? And someone basically was like, Johnny Depp's movie's gonna be shown here. How do you feel about this? Hoping that she would get livid and be like, he definitely hurt his ex-wife. And she was like, why are you asking me this? Will I see it? I don't know. I haven't up my mind yet. She's gotten better, in fairness to her. Credit where credit is due, and I give celebrities credit very, very infrequently. However, the writers of her movie sequel, The Marvels, there is no excusing what I'm about to show you. This is absolute cringe. Keep in mind here that Valkyrie is probably a woman in her 30s now, and the main character you're about to see on screen, Miss Marvel, is a teenager. How anyone thought it was okay to write this, let alone film it, is absolutely repugnant. And this is why the MCU can burn in flames and never gets another cinema ticket sold for its days, in my opinion. This is inexcusably dark. Not the part of her cleaning her hands on her knees. Pause for suspense.
Buffering. Get cut out.
The buffering is going to be even worse than the actual quote. Come on, hurry up, for goodness sakes.
Buffering. We're running on too much power. We have too many tabs open.
That could very well be it.
Oh, this is deleted scene. Okay.
Yeah. At least put this.
I don't know. I never watched this movie, so I have no idea what happened.
Bye.
They didn't make the movie for me, so.
That's it. I'll open a different tab and see if that helps in even remotely any way whatsoever.
Maybe if you lower the quality, so go to that little wheel thing. The wheel one. Yeah, and then you put on quality if you lower it. So right now quality is on auto, which means it's going to be the highest one. If you put it on like 360 or 140, it might play.
Okay.
We are pausing for station identification. You are listening to From Double to Cleveland. This is why we're not live yet, because if this happened while we were live.
Can you imagine the nonsense?
I'm not sure if the Lord or maybe the devil doesn't want us watching this. I'm not sure which one it is.
What I might have to do is just record this clip at some point tomorrow and then just stick it in post editing.
Yeah, I might be able to play it on my end, so I can at least know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Find it strange. People really want to save money, but are so willing to toss their hard-earned coin into a 3-foot pool of disappointment. I want to be...
Okay, do you want to try to play it on yours?
I can try, yeah, because it's working so far.
Okay.
So let me share.
And then just remember when you're sharing the video, just to click the 2 rectangles on the right-hand side.
Click the 2 rectangles? What are you talking about?
Sorry, there are 2 squares on the right-hand side for the visual and the audio.
Okay. Share sound?
Yeah.
Is it say optimize for video sharing? Am I supposed to click
Yeah, both of them. Both of those.
Okay. Share.
Otherwise, you'll just get the visual.
Okay. So I think I've got it. Can you see it?
Yep. Go for it. Perfect.
I'll play it from there.
Yep.
Hopefully. Oh no. Buffering.
Incoming call from New Asgard.
Hello?
Oh, Captain, my captain. Oh, you're not my captain.
Captain Marvel Resonance Systems, Miss Marvel speaking. How can... You're Valkyrie!
'Tis I. Wait, Mrs. Marvel. She got married again, and no invite again.
No! I'm Ms. Marvel. Ms. We're not married. That would be... I'm single.
Okay.
5 seconds to the jump point.
Oh, you might want to triple. I mean, trip in. Huh?
Connection failed.
What is happening to me?
Okay, so first of all, they basically had this joke about this teenage girl being in a lesbian romance, a lesbian marriage, and then blink and you miss it. But then Valkyrie tells Miss Marvel, a teenager who's what, 15, 16, 17 at the most, you might want to strap on, which is, well, you can Google it. Absolutely repugnant. And celebrities wonder why we think that they're all pedophiles and pederasts. If you don't want us thinking badly about you, zip it. Be careful with the words coming out of your mouth. But
yeah,
if
you
get
can tell
scumbag,
why.
you're gonna think you are.
You can tell why they took this out of the movie. Like, there's any audience would go, should you say that? Like, that's probably not what you want to be putting on your screen. And so you can see why. But they're trying to be cheeky. They're trying to be funny. They're trying to do a wink kind of thing. And it's like, look, I'm evil, or I'm wink, wink. I'm inclusive, and that's not the time nor the place to mention, say, imply any of that stuff.
I mean, here's the thing: in any workplace,
not that there is a time for that. I want to make that clear.
Yeah, to children, exactly. Like in any other workplace or ministry or any facet of society, were you to sexualize children like that, or even make those kind of assertions to children, you would get into an absolute bucket load of trouble, and rightfully so.
Yep,
But
you go to prison for that stuff.
Pass it off as a joke.
Yeah,
it isn't.
No.
All right, then there's probably going to be heavy editing needed for this one, but again, this is Amanda Steinberg, the main actress in The Acolyte. I'll be honest, I didn't even recognize her because I never watched this show, but I did see the Hunger Games quadrilogy, trilogy of books, quadrilogy of movies. And this girl is actually Rue, a little girl who befriends Katniss Everdeen, the protagonist in the first one. She's from District 11. She becomes very good friends with Katniss. Spoiler alert, dies tragically. And I kind of thought, oh, she was nice. Really liked her scenes. She was cute. Well, look at the absolute trollop that she's grown up to be. She starred in a TV show that was absolutely despised en masse by people who saw it. And rather than just saying, yeah, you know what, the show wasn't great, instead, she decided to make a very, very cringy, disgusting video in which she lambasted the audience. And again, all this serves to do is make the actors come across as the most entitled, wicked wretches who think that they deserve for you to watch their show on account of them being richer than you, even though they don't have an ounce of talent between them.
Now you're listening, I'm gonna tell you something fascinating. They spin and poke, bastardize it and appropriate it. Let's drop a clone, or something with creators. Speak truth to power, keep an eye out for you silly racists. And now they use it to describe anything they talking about. Remember when Gambino put it in the zeitgeist? It was all about the people recognizing bigotry, the power of community, not fodder for your clickbait. Speaking of which, journalism looking at you. Did you forget it's your job to provide the truth? Spreading divisiveness, minding the metrics and data. See, you gave up all your efforts, your money and views. And I can tell that the people are tired and the kids don't trust anything that they do. We can learn something from them, discerning. The future's coming and it's always the youth.
the demonic Hindu goddess Kali there at the very end of that smile. All she was missing was her tongue sticking out of her head. I'll say a couple of things here. One, I think it's absolutely hilarious that she made this song to, like, beg journalists to give the show good reviews. When journalists gave that show better reviews than she could possibly deserve.
Yeah.
Observation number two, from the very little I know that show, I think she put more acting ability into this dance video than she did into her performance in the show. And
Yeah.
observation three, that scene of her trying to walk in those boots down the town. There's something so spastic about how she's trying to walk. I could watch that all day long and it would never not make me laugh. I just think she is such a spiteful, heinous, cringy joke of a woman. And I know there is another interview out of her, another interview with her in which she just starts name dropping all these, tick boxes. She's like, I'm a woman, and I'm black, I'm a lesbian. It's like, okay, you really want Hollywood to start giving you jobs, even though you have no talent. We hear you, Amanda. Chill out, Mandy. Go for a walk. Take a chill pill. Broski, you watch this show. You've seen this woman in action. Take it away.
Yeah, truthfully, all of the bits that I liked about the Acolyte had nothing to do with her. She was just a horrible main character. So I can understand why they didn't bring the movie back. If it had been about some of the side characters that got like brutally murdered in that show, okay. Hey, I'm kind of on board for that because there were some pretty hilarious characters that were side characters, but her very bland, not interesting. And honestly, can you take somebody seriously when they're rapping and their voice is like this and it's so high and it's like
no.
Like you can't even hear half the things that she's trying to say. So if she was mad or angry or bitter, I would not have gotten it at all because it just seemed absolutely ridiculous. It wasn't good music, it wasn't good rap. And I'd say stick to your day job, but she's not really good at that either. So well, glad you made money. Good job. Make sure you invest it well because I'm not sure how much you're going to make more.
Exactly. Yes, I don't think she'll have many more jobs ahead of her. And speaking of people in the Star Wars universe who may not actually ever make sense, you might know more about this than I do. But Charmin Obaid Chinoy, this clown who's like, I like to make men uncomfortable. Yeah, she just seems to be very spiteful towards men as well. Now, she was promised, I think, a directing job, maybe a screenwriter job. I think it was a directing job in Star Wars. I'll just play a short little clip here of her. I don't know if this ever meant to anything or if it ever will.
Oh, absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's all I can tolerate from that cow. Who is she? What has she been promised? Did her Star Wars production even ever get made? Will it? Do you know?
Who knows? I have no idea who that woman is. I have never seen her before, never heard from her before. So I assume that there is a lot of people who are they're making Star Wars movies, but they seem to continually be canceled all the time. So I mean, it's kind of a rough place to be at with Star Wars. I know they're doing a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Who knows how that's going to be? I'm here for it. I'll probably watch it, but they kind of killed the Mandalorian a while ago. And part of that is because of who the actor is, Pedro Pascal. He's not really a great guy. I know he's not somebody we're going to talk about today, but he is quite a leftist as well. But in terms of Star Wars, I don't know how much future it has in making movies. I'm not sure how much that's actually going to work. I think they they found a lot of their niche and restoration of Star Wars and things like the Clone Wars, and things like Rebels. And so they're trying to do some of that. I know there's a Maul Shadow Legend that's coming out later this year, which looks a little bit interesting. But I think they've kind of burned their TV and movie, at least their some of their, I guess maybe even the majority of their fans. I think there's people who will watch Star Wars just for Star Wars, and I'm one of those guys. But you can only go so far with that. It's kind of like with Marvel. Marvel has like killed a lot of their audience because
Yeah.
it used to be, well, it's a Marvel movie,
They're in
got to
their
go watch
vision.
it. And now it's not that way.
Yeah. Now it's like, ugh, Marvel again.
Yeah.
And now people hear it and they just want to vomit. And actually, for me, I love hearing that Marvel is making things, but I just go, well, that's something I'm never going to watch. And I love hearing that it crashes and burns because it's the least they deserve. But sticking with Star Wars, this is one headline I never thought I'd read. This is from the New York Post back in September the 11th, 2016. Luke Skywalker wants me to abort my baby, says ex porn star. If I'm not mistaken, this is when Mark Hamill's son got a porn star knocked up, and then not so good Luke Skywalker then decided to tell her to kill her child. And it's one of those when you watch like the original Star Wars trilogy and you're like, okay, Luke's very whiny in A New Hope, fair enough. He gets better in The Empire Strikes Back. He's amazing in The Return of the Jedi. Ugh. And then you look at what these people are like in real life. And I don't know, is it possible to enjoy a product and hate the actors who do it? Like, I mean, put it this way. I think it is easier to read a book and dislike the author. Not saying it's ideal, but I think it's easier to enjoy a book and dislike the author. I think once you watch a film, and I think it's because it's people playing people. I think once you watch a film and then you see what the actors are like in real life, once that distaste sets in, once they put a bad taste in your mouth, once that detestation sets in, once you realize, oh my goodness, these people are actually satanic and evil and wicked, they are the evil we're supposed to be fighting against the world, I think it's very hard to separate the product from the actors. What about yourself? Is this a story that you had already been familiar with? And it is the first time you've heard of it. Has it actually impacted your feeling towards Luke Skywalker, towards Star Wars, just for the actors? Do you have a healthy separation between them? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is one of those comments where wasn't it like in Batman where he said you don't want to live long enough that you become the villain.
The villain.
And I think that's kind of where Mark Hamill's at. I think there was a lot of goodwill that he had for Star Wars, and there was this revered person in that area, and I don't think that's the case anymore. I hesitate to say that it puts much of a taint on watching those movies back because those movies are in isolation. I don't think who the person today is should necessarily affect, because I think if that's the case, if you're going off, if you only watch people who are pure or great actors, I think you're gonna run out of people real quick. You're gonna be watching old TV programs, which is fine. Those are good. I'm just saying you're gonna run out of watching anything anymore. So there is an element of needing to disconnect, but at the same time, you have to be careful, especially when they're coming out with new projects and there's a opportunity to like support them financially. You have to be careful that you're throwing money at that. I would say being careful, even going to places like Disney World, where you're giving people money and supporting them for. But again, what are they actually doing that is helping you and supporting your mission to spread the gospel? Big fat zero. In fact, they probably would be the first ones to say, "Yeah, let's get rid of those Christian people because they're not great."
Sure.
And that to me is where you have to be careful is um being careful where your money's going. And I know I'm saying this after saying that I'm interested in watching Star Wars movies.
No,
And
no, no, that's
there are
fair.
movies that you watch that we watch that you just have to, I guess, think about that a little bit is
Mm.
um especially when you hear things like about the people who make it beforehand. You have to be careful about that. I think there's sometimes we can be so hostile that we don't even give anything a chance, and we
Mm.
become the haters that they say we are.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but at the same time, you have to weigh that with the Bible verse that says, "Think about the things that are pure, good, of good rapport." And so, if you struggle with these people who are terrible, and you look at them and you watch them in the movie, and you're like, I can't, I can't do it. I respect that to be able to say I can't watch that movie or I can't watch that anymore. So for me, I would say it's not my conviction, but I do respect if others would say that.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because I was always a casual Star Wars fan, but Marvel was my go-to. And let's say
Yeah.
nowadays, I would for my birthday, I still got X-Men Age of Apocalypse Volume 4 of 4. And even like last year and out and bought volumes of X-Men comics from like the 1960s, the 1980s. But yet I would not buy anything from like the 2020s because that's absolutely when the leftists
Yeah.
infiltrated and totally took over. So yeah, I kind of agree with that. I would still go back to what made it amazing in the first place, back to what I loved back then. But in terms of supporting them nowadays, supporting their new project financially, not a chance. Supporting their
Yeah.
movies, I wouldn't. Likes of Disney World had always been on my bucket list. Now, not unless the entire company was overhauled, would I go near it? Yeah.
Yep.
Because you're right. They don't really hate conservatives or patriots or family friendly audience members. What they hate are Christians. You're right. It's always a war against the body of Christ, always and ever.
Yep.
Everyone else is just a distraction, happens to be in the way. Okay, well, speaking of Star Wars, one final time, and if the opinions of the stars impacts your receptivity to a product, and let's be honest, it is not art. All it is nowadays is product. Here's product, here's product. Oh my goodness, take more product. Here is Ewan McGregor complaining about the fan base. So basically, this was when the Obi-Wan Kenobi show was coming out, which I was interested in up until I heard anything about it. And I quickly realized, yeah, okay, Obi-Wan Kenobi was not going to be the main character in Obi-Wan Kenobi. And instead, it was going to be Moses Ingram, who's a woman. I had never heard of a Moses who was a woman before. I'm like, Moses is a man's name, but they gave this woman a man's first name for some ridiculous reason. And people instinctively said, okay, she's going to be the main character. She's black. And the show is going to be so, so bad. And all criticism of the show is going to be directed at her from a Disney point of view, from a Star Wars institution point of view. You won't be able to say the screenwriting was crap. It will be, you just don't like black people. You won't be able to say, why was Obi-Wan Kenobi not in his own show? You just hate black people. You won't be able to say, he's a Jedi and he couldn't jump over a fence. And he didn't even need to because the fence was only so long, he could just run around it. Why didn't he? Because you hate black people. So, so she was being used as a buffer and a shield from the get-go. And actually what annoyed me was that Disney called her even before the show was released. And they told her, people are going to hate you because you're black. And then Ewan McGregor just jumped on this bandwagon and just, I would say, made an absolute hames of himself. He used to be my favorite Jedi. Now, no.
It seems that some of the fan base from this influential fan base have decided to attack Moses Ingram online and send her the most horrendous racist DMs. And I heard some of them this morning and it just broke my heart. Moses is a brilliant actor. She's a brilliant woman. And she's absolutely amazing in this series. She brings so much to the series. She brings so much to the franchise. And it just sickened me to my stomach to hear that this had been happening. I just want to say, as the leading actor in the series, as the executive producer on the series, that we stand with Moses. We love Moses. And if you're sending her bullying messages, you're no Star Wars fan in my mind. There's no place for racism in this world. And I totally stand with Moses. It seems that...
Okay, the Israelites who were led out of Egypt did not care about their Moses as much as Ewan McGregor cares about this Moses. You've seen the show. Respond.
I don't know what he's referring to. If he's referring to stuff that was genuinely like bad, okay. I can sort of see why he would say, yeah, we don't stand for that. So that's kind of not only a financial but a moral place that he's trying to come from. If whatever was said, because again, I don't have full context of what it said. If it was stuff like, hey, we don't agree that you should be the main character in the Obi-Wan series, and then that was the racist stuff, okay, then I think he's going too far. But I do know that there is a toxicity level, because you can say whatever you want online and it won't it used to be without the internet. If I said something like really offensive to you to your face, you'd punch me in the face. Like, there was a fear of being beaten up. There isn't that case anymore with the internet now. So people will say things that are racist, horrible. They will say those things. Like, they just straight up. Like, I know that there are people who can say that. So if he's denouncing that group of people, okay, that's one thing. If he's denouncing the group of people who just said, I didn't really like the show, different story. So it's hard to know what exactly comments he's referring to here. But I think if it is actually completely nasty things you should never say to somebody online, then he had to say what he said there. And I think the fact that he repeated himself a couple times, I think that meant that it was something that either somebody asked him to do, or like, I'm not sure that was of his own choice. But I don't know.
I agree with you. To me, it seems very performative. The repetition, the looking all over the place, not giving any specifics.
Yeah.
The fact that he couldn't just say, listen, guys, Moses Ingram is a person. If you don't like the story, you don't have to like the screenwriting, but you cannot direct such vitriolic abuse at this individual and say she's a beep, she's a beep, she's a beep. Could have
helped everybody out.
Helped everybody out, but didn't. Instead, there was an allusion to the fact that bad things have been said that have been passed on to him, but she was amazing, and she was phenomenal, and she was the best, and she was blah 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 blah. And she's such a great person.
Yeah. It's the same problem.
I'm gonna call BC and that bullcrap. It doesn't seem genuine.
Well, it's the same bullcrap that you'll get at like your job or work, where when people they will say they'll either send out an email or they'll have a meeting that'll be like, guys, we just shouldn't be doing these things or shouldn't say these things, or you're not supposed to. So this is something that's happened before. You're not supposed to have any like relationships at our workplace. Like, you're not supposed to have any romantic relationships. So we're just we just don't do that. And my response is, I know exactly who the people are doing it. Go talk to them. Why are you wasting my time?
Great job.
I literally have. I'm not doing anything. I'm just chilling over here. Why are you asking me and wasting my time for 15 minutes explaining why this is wrong.
Yeah.
When in reality, go talk to the people who actually did it. Don't talk to me.
That's right. You're paying someone
That's
giving you
what
the
this
resources, send them
that's
out.
what this video is it's a blanket cover statement for something that like those whoever was saying it, whoever they were saying it, he should have it should just gone directly to them. It shouldn't have gone to, like, you don't need to send it out to the full public, because it's like being reprimanded when you did nothing wrong, but we have to reprimand the group because reasons.
Yes, because
So
in communism, it's always a societal issue.
Yeah, it's really a bad leadership strategy to just attack a whole group of people when it's really just a couple people's problems.
Yeah.
So it's also not having enough thick skin, because I mean, people will say nasty things these days, and you kind of like, don't take it to heart, don't listen to it, don't even go online. You know what? Save your time. Delete your Instagram, delete your Facebook. Just be you. You know, you don't need any of that crap that is obviously of the devil's scheme to convince you otherwise.
No, most definitely. And I think for me, the fact that Disney sent these messages to her, that would tell me that either they went looking for something vicious so that they could spark outrage against the fan base, so no one could legitimately critique the show. You just didn't like it because racism. Or two, someone at Disney probably made them.
Yeah.
But it's the very same nonsense that we see with Rings of Power, which again, I absolutely refuse to watch. That said, I was sick a couple weeks ago, which is one of the reasons it took us so long to get a video out there. And I rewatched the Peter Jackson.
Forgot about this lady.
And I have to say, oh my goodness, they hit that sweet spot. They were better than any medicine I could have taken. They were phenomenal. I went to Pakistan a few weeks ago. I might talk about that in a future episode. And on the way home, I didn't want to, but I just said, there's a screen in front of me and I've already paid for the movies anyway. So I watched War of the Rohirrim. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. There was no need for it to be as bad as it was. It was just this feminist tripe. And at the end, it almost kind of looks like the main character might be a lesbian, like riding off into the sunset with, like, you know, her Iron Maiden or Shield Bearer or whatever the old chick was. And at some point, you know, a guy asks her, like, to marry him, and she's like, I do not think I will ever marry a man. I was like, ooh, in 2025, that just doesn't land the same on the ears. So yeah, the trilogy was amazing. The Hobbit was a disappointment. War of the Rohirrim should not have been made, and Rings of Power is an abomination. However, the writers want you to think that you are the abomination. So BBC, Lord of the Rings, is not Lord of the Rings, condemn racist backlash to the new Amazon series cast. Can I just be honest with you? This woman here, Disa, yeah, this black woman with the mushroom haircut, is a dwarf. The thing about the dwarves in Middle Earth is they all live underground. Logan, do you know why some people have darker melanin? Do you know what melanin does?
Yeah, it makes your skin darker because you're in the sun.
How much sunshine is there underground?
Well, depending on where you're at, 0.
Oh, we're talking down. We're talking in the mines.
Yeah, depending on where you're at, it's still 0.
Exactly. Depending where you're at, 0. It is a legitimate complaint to say, why are there black dwarves living underground? Because here's the thing. Firstly, it makes no sense. Secondly, if we are to believe that Rings of Power is set in the same universe as the Lord of the Rings trilogy, that means at some point there was a mass genocide of all the black dwarves, which absolutely would change how you would see all the heroes in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. So these things are important. However, the showrunners want you to know that if you notice this, you are the problem. And Showrunner calls some of the Rings of Power backlash. How desperate you have to be. Patently evil. They were given $1 billion to make a TV show. $1 billion to make a TV show.
Yeah.
If you criticize it, you're the patently evil one. Such heinous stupidity through and through.
Yeah, it is kind of funny when we're lectured about morals by people who like morality came because of Christianity.
Amen.
That before, if you look at like the Wild West and any of the things that happened there, like the reason why it was wild and there are people dying and just random murders and all the junk that happened in the Wild West was there weren't any churches. They didn't know any better. They were all just wild and ridiculous. And killing people and murder and all that stuff was perfectly fine. It was a lawless land. And like morality, even in our Western culture, comes from the church. We don't know what to do right or what to call evil without the church. Otherwise, we'd be stuck in completely doing evil all the time. So it's kind of ridiculous for you to call things evil that when morality came from Christianity. So again, are there people saying extremely nasty things out there? Yeah, probably. It's just the law of the internet. There are people out there who say horrible things. But do we need to say blanket statements to, again, make everyone feel bad, even though they probably shouldn't feel bad because it's just people who have tons of money who are still going to have tons of money, you know? And honestly, it for even just the having like putting in black people into Lord of Rings, it's the diversity thing. We have to have diversity. We have to, like, that's been the whole push and the DEI thing. And truthfully, you know what? If you are a good enough actor and the story fits it, go right ahead. But do we have to make everything? It's to me, it should almost be offensive to people of different descents to that you are forced to and you have to be in a movie. Like,
yeah, it's offensive to me
not real
because
life.
Lord of the Rings was based on medieval European folklore. So what is the left's problem with Europeans?
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. So now again, I'm not out there saying that black people don't deserve to be in movies. That is, I don't want anyone to hear this and say that. What I'm saying is if the story calls for it, awesome. But let's fit it to the story. Let's not try to just force pigeonhole people's qualities and what they look like into why they have to be in a movie. That should not be a reason for why you hire somebody or why they should be a part of anything.
Yeah.
There's a whole reason why we have discrimination laws in America is so that people aren't hired based off of what they look like. And it goes both ways. It goes both sides. Nobody should be being discriminated against because of the color of your skin and what you look like. It should always be on whether you're the right person for the role and whether your character fits the story. So that's and I know that even using that, they would say, well, their characters fit the story and they were the right person for it. Okay, but everyone else sees it and says you're just trying to fit to the politics of today. You're not really doing it because that's what the story calls for.
Yep, that's right. And personally, I do not think these people care about blacks at all, given that abortion in the USA was literally introduced to, let's be honest, kill the black population. Even the woman who popularized it in the US, that was her intention. And I know even Barack Obama celebrated that woman at one point. I think one of the biggest reasons they do this, one is they want to overturn the West. But secondly, I think that they are such wicked, evil, disgusting hack jobs that they need to create crises and problems to feel good about themselves. And I think one of the biggest problems in Hollywood is it is an absolute ring of pedophilia. This is an article from 2017 written by Pascal Emmanuel Gobry. And I'll just read some of what he has to say. The flurry of sexual harassment and assault allegations against Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein. Gonna be honest with you, I don't think he's a good guy. I don't believe he is guilty of that, or at least not the 2 or 3 testimonies that got him locked up. Candace Owens has a brilliant series on him, and the testimonies that actually got him locked up and the key thrown away do not add up. Confirms an unsettling truth that deep down we already knew. There is a reason casting couch has become a grotesquely ubiquitous term. We have long quietly assumed that big-time movie producers exploit their power to sexually exploit women. I will say yes. I also think a lot of women, eyes wide open, get involved in this themselves and then have regret later on. My big concern is that I believe they do this to children. We should have heeded the warning signs. The smoke has been there for a long time. Of course, the faint plumes were evidence of a fire raging, a fire we both did not imagine, and yet knew was burning. How could he have been so blind? The answer to this question will also give the answer to the next question. Can we seriously doubt that Hollywood is also turning a blind eye to a very real child sex abuse scandal? They 100% are, and they know what they're doing. The evidence here, just as it was in the cases of Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein, in 2011, and this is one I really want to hone in on, former child star Corey Feldman warned that pedophilia in Hollywood was the big secret and the #1 problem. Feldman alleged that he was abused and that his friend was raped in a movie set at the age of 11, but he didn't just talk about instances of abuse. In a later interview, he described a system whereby young children were groomed by powerful older men who formed an organized network with publicists providing cover. He would love to name names, but feared the legal risks, he said. And then former child star Elijah Wood, better known to Lord of the Rings fans as Frodo Baggins, made global headlines after saying in an interview last year that there was something major in Hollywood. It was all organized, he said. There are lots of vipers in this industry, people who only have their own interests in mind. There is darkness in the underbelly, adding that Hollywood can squash the victims so that they can't speak as loudly as the people in power. I totally agree with that. He later issued a carefully worded clarification. I wonder who threatened to kill him and the ones he loved. That he had no first-hand experience or observation, which still leaves room for being aware of an open secret. These stories fit a pattern, and not just a pattern common to all sex crime allegations. The shame, the gaslighting, the fear you won't be believed, but also the pattern common to testimonies about a systemic problem, the coordination, the law of silence, the cover-ups. And who's interested can read the rest of the article for themselves. So I would say that one of the biggest reasons that they pretend to be so righteous and they steal clap for each other at the Grammys and the Oscars and everything else they go to is because they are the biggest, most filthy slime bowl scumbags, and they know it. And they put on this illusion of grandeur and holiness and self-righteousness in the hope of deceiving other people from the wickedness within that they know is there, that they are part of, that they conceal, and that they partake in. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's 100% true. I would not be surprised if there is I mean, honestly, even some of the Epstein file stuff points to some of that.
Yeah, doesn't sound so likely now, does it?
Point how many people are in there. I think it is it's very reminiscent of Romans 1, right? When Christ gives people over to sin and debased nature, this is the outflow of that. And so Christ is nowhere near the goal or heart of Hollywood. That's not what they're out for. They're out for money. They're out for their own gain.
Yeah.
And it's not surprising when some of these horrid, evil things about mistreating children, and mistreating women and mistreating men as well, that it's not surprising when those things come out, because this is a group of people who are not about Christ, who have no alliance or allegiance to Christ, don't even pretend, and they have their own cults. They have the Scientology. You have your own things that are going on around there. So none of it is surprising. It's more of how do you make sure that justice is done? That's the bigger question there.
Yeah, very, very good. I believe that the justice of God is going to hit Hollywood, Babylon, like a ton of bricks. Later than we would have liked, but sooner than they realize. And I do not even know if Hollywood will survive it when the axe of the Lord has stopped swinging. And we'll finish off with this one for today. You might remember in 2023, the Maui fires in Hawaii. And oh my goodness, this made me cringe so much. Oprah Winfrey, who I believe is on her absolute utter last legs before the Lord tires of her nonsense. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who between them have a grand total of over $2 billion of wealth, had the absolute goal to ask the public to pay for the rebuilding of Hawaii. And the reality is they're so wealthy that they probably could have paid for, if not all of it, a very significant chunk of it themselves. But instead, they asked other people during, let's be honest, we are in a global recession. The media might not be admitting it, they might change the definition. We are in one. To change, or sorry, to fork out the cash. And the funny thing is, at the time, there was a bit of money in the account. So some people actually think that they donated some money themselves to get the ball rolling. But all that they got was scorn. Here's a summary of that saga.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Oprah Winfrey are facing backlash on social media after asking fans to donate money to help those affected by the wildfires in Maui, Hawaii. The two celebrities have a combined net worth of over $2.8 billion, and some people are questioning why they are asking for donations from the public. Johnson and Winfrey announced the People's Fund of Maui on August 31st, 2023. The fund will provide financial assistance to those who have lost their homes or businesses in the wildfires. The celebrities each donated $10 million to the fund, and they are asking fans to donate the rest. Some people on social media have criticized Johnson and Winfrey for asking for donations, arguing that they are wealthy enough to help out on their own.
Did I just witness what I think I witnessed? Please don't tell me I just saw a billionaire standing next to a multi-millionaire begging the average everyday citizen for donations that can barely get by due to a real-life
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and...
Yeah, that one got cut off due to a real-life recession.
Yeah.
I agree with that woman. Right, what do you think?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. John Wayne has a great quote on this. He basically says that life is hard by itself. It's even harder when you're stupid,
Oof, that's the truth.
Life is hard. It is. And it's even harder when you have the ability and the means to take care of things, and then you say things like, come help us, and then you get the backlash. Like it's just harder if you're stupid. You didn't need to face the backlash if you just wouldn't have asked. I know there's that whole philosophy of life that says, well, you'll never know unless you ask. Sometimes you know when you ask. Sometimes you're going to ask and your mom's going to say no. If you said, Mom, can I go to a place that she's told you that you shouldn't go or can't go, or watch a movie that you shouldn't watch or can't watch, the answer's going to be no. So sometimes you know what the answer is going to be before you ask, and you just need to know better. So yeah, that was dumb.
Yes, very, very much so. No, they deserve the scoring that they got for that. Um, but yeah, so guys, I think you can see that between the last video and the first video, sorry, the last video and this video, that yeah, the reason modern movies are failing is because heroes are no longer heroic, and you look at the people who are behind the camera writing it, the show writers, the showrunners, the actors, the producers, the directors, celebrities. Evil cannot create anything good. And because they do not know what a hero is, they cannot write heroes. Because they do not know what goodness is, they cannot write good. Because they themselves are pure and utter evil. Well, it shines through the writing in terms of absolute and utter spite. So I just want to leave you with Romans 12:9, which says, love must be sincere. Hate what is evil, cling to what is good. That means hold tightly to what is good. Detest and abhor what is evil. Have absolutely nothing to do with it. And instead, you fight the good fight of faith. So even when these wealthy elites try to convince you that you are evil for hating evil, you're evil for resisting evil, you're evil for noticing that's evil, you're evil for reviling the fact that it's evil, don't bow the knee, don't give them an inch, do not let them wear you down. You cling to what is good and you resist the darkness in your time. It might feel like it's getting harder out there in the media, in spheres, even in society and politically. That's because we are winning. If people had just given in and thrown in the towel, they would have taken over the world already, and it wouldn't even feel so bad because they'd have total control. The reason it feels like they're always upping the ante is because of the resistance. We're living in a Daniel moment where Nebuchadnezzar is like, what do you mean not everyone's bowing before my statue? What do you mean there's resistance? So rather than lighting a fire, they're heating it 7 times hotter. What good does lighting a fire 7 times hotter do? Nothing. A fire is a fire. A hot fire is a hot fire. It is what it is. It's all about trying to wear you down, trying to wear out the same, trying to intimidate you. But what's happening is the fire is burning the ones who are igniting it even hotter. It's like on Mount Carmel when the Baal prophets start slashing and gashing themselves. They're bleeding money, they're bleeding resources, they're bleeding finances. And it's all just for show, it's all performative. It's because they know that they're on borrowed time. So hang in there. Greater days are ahead, and the enemies that you see now, a day will come when you will see them no more, and you will not even remember their names. Anything to add, Broski, before we finish up for today?
Yeah, it's always darkest before dawn.
That's
That
true.
is the darkest point. And so the devil doesn't want to he doesn't want to lose his power, doesn't want to lose his grip, and they always do everything they can to stop that from going away and disappearing. And so even in my own life, I can see times where right before something big's about to happen or God's going to do something awesome, that Satan has the biggest attacks and tries to discourage. And even right after you have a huge victory, he tries to discourage and tear you down. And so the fact that they feel like they need to keep upping the ante and being ridiculous and pushing and pushing and pushing, just know that God is still good. He's still the one in charge. I was reading last night Proverbs 29. It talks about God's voice, and David is praising the amazingness of God's voice and how it's powerful, how it breaks cedars, how it rips and moves landscapes apart, how it creates life, how it changes it can change even the most scientifically straightforward thing that ever existed. It can change by God's voice. And so who do you want to listen to? People who will just scream and shout and their voice changes nothing, it does nothing, it's just noise? Or do you want to listen to somebody whose voice changes everything? Changes the dynamic of history, it changes the dynamic of our own personal lives. It can change nature. Um, that's the God we serve. We serve a God whose voice is powerful and it changes the world. And so that's the person we should be following, not a bunch of people who have just screaming into a microphone. It's not always the loudest that are the ones that need to be heard. Sometimes it's the one who is the most powerful, and that's God. So let me close this in prayer, and then we'll send you away. We'll give you some shout outs, and hopefully you enjoyed our discussion and our two-part discussion here on heroes. I really enjoyed this section. I thought it was a good time. I know Brendan did as well. So it's been really enjoyable. So you'll hear from us soon. But let's close in prayer, and then we'll give our shout outs and send you on your way. So just thanks for this day, Lord. I'm thankful for the amazing hero that your son is, Lord, that you sent Jesus into this world to be born, to suffer, to understand and feel all the emotions that we feel, and to overcome. Lord, I'm so thankful that he came to overcome and take our sin on him, to carry it to the cross, to carry the weights of generations, the sins of eons. He carried it all and pinned it all on himself, and he died for those sins. But Lord, I am even more thankful that not only did he do that, but he also rose again. Lord, I'm thankful that he's sitting at the right hand of the Father. I'm thankful that we can trust you, that we can trust your word, that your word is truth, that even in a world that's screaming lies from the hilltops, that there is still truth to be found in your word. Lord, I pray that you would continue to help each and every one of us, to encourage us to fight the good fight, to stand up and say the things that we need to say, to do the things that you ask us to do, to move with liquid ferocity when we need to be where we need to be, to share the gospel when we need to love people who need loved. Lord, you'd help us to be need seekers, to be able to see needs and be able to meet them when we need to be able to show the love of Christ. Lord, in a world that calls us a bunch of haters, that we hate others, help us to be the most loving people that anyone could ever meet, that they would see the love that we have, and that the hatred and the idea that we hate them would go away. Lord, that help them to see that we may disagree and not approve of their sins, but that we still love them and we still want them to know Christ. I pray that you'd help us as we move on with our evenings, our days, that you would help us to do all the things that honor and glorify you, and that even when we struggle and we make mistakes, that we would be gracious and run to you immediately, that we'd come back to you and repent for the things that we've done wrong. Again, be with us as we move on with our days. In Jesus' name, amen. So our shout outs for this week. I guess for me, I think my shout out's going to be go watch a John Wayne movie. You know, John Wayne was a pretty good dude. He's not a perfect dude. Nobody is. Only Christ is. But he lived out his morals in what he did on the screen. And so he was very much, he treated people the way he wanted to be treated. And I think that's a thing that we kind of lose in our internet culture. So go find yourself a John Wayne movie and watch it. I'm not saying they're all perfect. I'm not saying they're all equal. Go find a good one. It's PG-13. Don't watch any rated R ones. Go watch a PG-13 one. Even though rated R was different back in his day, go watch a PG-13 one and have yourself a good evening. So what about you, Brendan? What are your shout outs for this week?
Sure. Well, listen, the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy got me through a very bad dose of the flu. So they're always iconic. They're always that's always time well spent. And I suppose my second shout out will be for the upcoming third Irish revival taking place next weekend. I cannot believe it is all ready, almost upon us. Absolutely bonkers, but excited all the same. I believe God has really, really exceptionally exciting plans, and yeah, it's a real privilege to be invited by God Almighty to be about the Father's business, as he does his supernatural work in the world of putting this upside down country, continent, and world the right way up. So I'm here for it.
How much does it cost?
Good question. It costs about 20 quid, because we need to pay for the venue. And with the first one, we did it for free because it was I think it was about €10 per person for like a day pass on the venue. So it was very doable.
Yeah.
Whereas with our current venue, and we need to make the costs, and it's more expensive than our original venue was. And we're probably going to, well, depending how next week goes, we're going to have another revival in September. And if we have a full house, we're going to go for the same hotel, but a room downstairs, which could cater, rather than for 120 people, for 450 people. And then we're also going to have a kids' church option as well. This time around, we'll have a kids' corner, which worked very well last time. But if this is a big success numerically in terms of people, we're going to have an entire kids' church program running simultaneous to the revival event. So yeah, very, very excited. It's going to be a big, busy year.
Indeed. So get your tickets now. Book your flights. Get your tickets. Invest in the kingdom. This is your opportunity.
Open House Ministry, February 28th. Eventbrite.
If you got to go from India, if you got to go from America, you go. Because if God's leading you to go,
that's right.
Go.
Be where he tells you to be.
Brendan needs the encouragement, so go encourage him. If you're in Ireland or you're going to be in Ireland, go to it.
Yes.
Next weekend.
Pastor Logan tells you to.
Yep. You go. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your time. We really appreciate you guys not only supporting us, listening to what we do, whether it's other YouTube videos or other things that Brendan puts out, or it's our From Dublin to Cleveland extras. We're really thankful that you guys listen to us. So keep listening. We'll keep doing this, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, friends.
Take care now. I was waiting on you to close. I forgot that was my laptop.